Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley here for ellenhudson.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing some Winter Wonderland window cards. Say that 3 times fast. I was inspired to create these window cards featuring a wintry theme, but not necessarily a Christmas theme. I wanted to remind you that some of these products that we think of as Christmas themed products can really be used throughout the winter for various different types of cards. So I'm starting out with the Alpine window die set, and I'm going to use this little tree window here. Remember, these can be stacked up to create varying depths and kind of different scenes, but I'm just using one of the windows today. I've adhered it in place on my card front using a little bit of purple tape, and I carefully removed that after it went through my die cutting machine. And then I have my window that I can just pop out there. Now I'm combining this with the Merry Little Christmas stamp set, and I thought this little car with the tree on top, it is so adorable, and I thought it would look great in some pinks and greens, so I have my color palette chosen here. I'm going to use the Pink Fresh Studio Coral Reef ink, the Concord & Ninth Ballet Slipper ink, the Catherine Pooler Deck the Halls, as well as Catherine Pooler Mint to Be. So this has like a pink and green theme going on. I left out the red to keep it from feeling too Christmassy. Even though there's a tree on this card, I think you can get away with using it throughout the winter. You could always do a little bit of masking if you wanted and take that tree off the top of the card, but I think it's so adorable. So I have pressed my ink pads onto an acrylic block, and I'm just picking up the ink using a water brush here, and I'm just coloring my image in. I find this to be the quickest and easiest way to do this. Sometimes when I already have the ink colors picked out for my palette, I can just use those ink colors to color them in using a blender brush or a blender pen or a water brush. It makes for a really fast project. So once I have that colored, I'm going to go ahead and use the coordinating dies to cut it out. And then I decided to bring in the Catherine Pooler Mint to Be and add a little bit of this mint color just to the windows so that they weren't so stark white. Now, once I had that completed, I added some foam adhesive to the back of my little car here, and I'm kind of putting it where I think it's going to end up on my card front. And I am going to stamp my sentiment right onto the card front. And I ended up changing this later on, but this is absolutely an option. It says, "Have a nice day," and it is from the Essentials by Ellen Arctic Pals stamp set. It's an oldie but a goodie, and it has some great winter-themed sentiments. Now, I decided to take this knockout piece from the window and add a little bit of ink blending on it. So I'm adding the Pink Fresh Studio Coral Reef ink as well as the Concord & Ninth Ballet Slipper, and I'm just going to nestle that onto my card base, position it right behind where that window is going to be popped up on the front of the card. Now, I could have added the ink blending directly to the card base, and it may have been easier that way. Quite honestly, but I decided to do it this way and it worked out just fine. I'm adhering it onto my A2 top folding card base using a little bit of the Gina K Dot Runner adhesive. I'm just wanted to make sure that there was no dimension to this portion of my card. I could have used a glue tube as well, and that would have worked out. And then I added foam adhesive onto the back of my card front panel here. And I'm going to remove the backer and place that right into position over the top of that knockout piece that I've already adhered, just making sure my little trees are popped up there as well. Now, before I adhere my little car, I am going to add the secret weapon to these Winter Wonderland cards, and that is the Hero Arts Icicle Glitter. This glitter is so wonderful. It has no iridescence to it, but it's plenty shiny. I kind of think of it like if the Pretty Pink Posh Sparkling Clear Sequins had a glitter sister, it would be this Hero Arts Icicle ink. So I added some glue tube to the top of my little tree that's on the car there. I also added it to the trees on my window and along the kind of snowy hill that's on there. And I just kind of sprinkled it on there, and then very carefully I'm going to go to a larger piece of scrap paper and dump this all off, and then I can funnel this back into my glitter container. Now, I know glitter is not for everyone. And while I think glitter should be for everyone, I know not everybody wants to deal with it. So if you're looking for something that's very sparkly, but you don't want to deal with the mess of glitter, you could also try some Stickles glitter glue. You could try some Nuvo Aqua Shimmer Pen, or you could also do the Sukaneko Shimmer Spritz. That is very sparkly as well. So you're just seeing me attach my little car onto the front of my card front here, and that completes my card. Now, I did go back and white heat emboss the sentiment onto a piece of craft cardstock and adhere it right over that sentiment that's on the front of my card, but for the most part, this all stayed the same, and you can see that beautiful Winter Wonderland shimmer that you get. Now let's move on to my next card. My next card is actually going to be a glitter shaker card featuring the Shaker Globe die set from the Essentials by Ellen Line. And I am going to combine that with an oldie but goodie as well. This is the Snow Buds stamp set. Now I'm going to stamp this snowman here, but I wanted to stamp the scarf as well, and so I'm just wiping off some of the ink where the scarf is going to overlap. You could do masking if you wanted to, but I was feeling a little bit lazy. So I've stamped that in some Gina K Obsidian ink onto some Nina Solar White heavyweight cardstock, and then I went ahead and stamped my scarf right there, and then the snowman's face. I've run my Shaker Globe die set through my Gemini Junior to die cut it, so I have the front there as well as the back. And I'm going to use that ink that I pressed onto the acrylic block earlier to add color to my snowman. I'm making the scarf green, and I am going to make the snowman actually pink because I didn't want to really bring in a lot of blue to these cards. I kind of wanted to keep on that pink and green vibe. And in my world, snowmen are pink. That's just the way it is. Now, I had originally held off on die cutting my Shaker Globe because I thought I was going to die cut the snowman. And then I realized that I had stamped the scarf and the snowman all as one piece using my lazy girl masking technique there. So I did have to go ahead and fussy cut the snowman out, but it wasn't too painful. It just took me a second or two. And I'm going to adhere this onto the inside of the Shaker Globe. But I thought this snowman looked a little weird without arms. So I'm going to stamp the arms where they kind of overlap onto the back portion of the Shaker Globe. And I'm going to mask off a portion of the snowman, the scarf and everything, and stamp it where it looks like it's actually coming out of the snowman so that the arms don't look like they're completely behind the snowman. Now, don't ask me why I stamped this, like up in the air. Probably because I didn't want to get the ink onto my mat, but I didn't really want to pull out a piece of scrap paper. But that's what I did there. And before I adhere my snowman, I'm going to stamp some of these snowflakes. These are also from the Snowbud stamp set in the Ballet Slipper ink onto the base of my snow globe. Now, I felt like this snow globe needed a little something more kind of going on inside of it, so I grabbed the tree. This is from the Over the River stamp set, and I'm stamping it in the Catherine Pooler Deck the Halls. Now, I stamped it once and then stamped it again to make some of the trees look like they were a little further in the distance, and that's a great trick. It gives you the same tone, but a little bit lighter, so it makes those trees look like some are closer and some are further away. Now, just to give this Shaker Globe a little bit of color on the outside, I lightly blended some mint, Catherine Pooler Mint to Be ink on the upper part of that snow globe. And now I can go ahead and adhere my little snowman inside the globe. I'm just adhering it to the base using a little bit of Gina K Dot Runner adhesive so that he's flat in there. If you wanted to add a little bit of dimension, you could, but I felt like by adding the dimension on the inside, it was going to make it more difficult to adhere the front part of the Shaker Globe over the top. So I just kept it all flat on the inside. And I used the solid base piece from the Shaker Globe die set to die cut some acetate. And I'm also going to die cut this again with some craft cardstock. I'm going to create a base for this Shaker Globe that's a little bit different color. So once I cut that base, I'm going to rotate my die around, And I'm going to kind of line up the sides of that circle edge. You can see my die is going the other way. And I'm going to hold this in place with some purple tape and run that through my die cut machine again. And that's going to cut off the top portion of this shaker globe and leave me with just the base portion that I could then adhere over this window portion and have a different colored base. Now this would be cute in some gold, but I kind of thought the craft was just a great way to add another neutral and kind of not add too much to this color theme. Now I used the Essentials by Ellen Landscapes die set to die cut a snowy kind of border here using some Essentials by Ellen linen cardstock, and I'm just lightly blending on some of the Concord and Ninth Ballet Slipper ink. And then I am going to seal up my shaker globe here. So I've doubled up my foam adhesive and I am cutting this into thin strips using my Tonic Tim Holtz scissors. Now these are non-stick, so I think these are great for cutting your foam adhesive. They don't get a sticky residue on them. And in order to form this foam adhesive around my window, I've removed the backer from both sides of the foam adhesive, and this makes it really moldable around this circular window. Now you could also use some fun foam or some foam that's meant for die cutting to adhere this on, but I think this is just as easy. I'm going to fill my shaker portion of this snow globe or the shaker globe with some more of that Hero Arts icicle glitter, and then I am going to seal this up. And that creates my little snow shaker globe here for the front of my card. And now I just really need to kind of adhere all of these things together, but not before I add just a little more sparkle. It can't be a winter wonderland without plenty of sparkle. So I've added some Lawn Fawn glue tube to the upper portion of this snowy landscape, and I am adhering it onto my card base using some foam adhesive. Now, had I thought about it ahead of time, I would have done this next portion before I adhered this part, but I got this kind of all laid out and I felt like it needed something else. So I'm going to remove this border that I just added gently from my card front. And I'm using the Essentials by Ellen Knockout Forest window die to add some trees to the front of my card. It's just another way to create a window on the card. So you can see I've run that through my Gemini Junior, and I have all these cute little trees that I can save for another project. And then I can re-adhere my snowy border onto the bottom, and then I will adhere my shaker globe onto my card front. And I have a sentiment embossed in white embossing powder onto some Essentials by Ellen ebony cardstock, and it says Happy Brrrrday, which I think is so much fun. That is also from the Essentials by Ellen Arctic Pals stamp set, and it's perfect for a winter themed birthday card. Now, I love that you get all of the sparkle and shine on this card, and it's all nicely contained, so you don't have to worry about that glitter escaping from your shaker globe. Now, for my third and final Winter Wonderland window card, I am going to use the Winter Window die set from the Essentials by Ellen line. It has two pieces that you can use separately or together. I'm going to use them together today because I'm going to actually build up my window on my card base. Instead of having it see through into the center of the card, I'm going to build up a window on the card base. So I've adhered those two pieces together, making sure that they're spaced equally around those edges. And I've run that through my die cut machine with some Essentials by Ellen linen cardstock. I'm going to leave those pieces taped together, and then I'm going to put this onto my card base, and I am going to mask off the area around this window because I want to do some stamping on the actual card base, but I don't want it to go outside of the boundaries of this window. So I'm just taking some Post-it tape and kind of laying it down around the outer edge of this winter window die cut that I've created. You could do this with some masking magic from Gina K or other masking papers. I just thought this was the easiest way. You could even do this with regular Post-it tape. And then once I have that masked off, I'm going to go ahead and start stamping my scene that will show up in this window. So I'm using the Catherine Pooler Twilight ink, And I'm stamping some images from the Over the River stamp set from the Essentials by Ellen line. So I've stamped the road and the mountains. I'm also going to use this little tree set again from the Over the River stamp set. And I'm going to stamp those a few times. And then I also have the little truck from the Over the River stamp set. So I'm like super obsessed with these vintage little trucks and cars, which is why I chose them from both the Merry Little Christmas stamp set and the Over the River stamp set. I just think they're so much fun. Once again, I'm just adding some color to my images using that ink that's already on my acrylic block. And then once I have stamped and colored my truck, I can die cut it using the coordinating die set. And I also die cut some of the pine trees that are in that winter window stamp set from that white cardstock as well. And I'm going to adhere them directly to this window frame. And I'll just trim off any excess that's overhanging, but this is going to give my scene varying depths of elements here. Now, I did lose a little bit of footage, but what I did was I adhered my truck onto my scene and trimmed down the extra. I added my glitter on the scene as well, using that same Hero Arts glitter and glue that I used before. And then I stamped my sentiment just along the outside of this window area. I thought that was a great place to put a little thanks sentiment. This could be like thanks for visiting me, could be really thanks for anything, but I thought this was a cute little winter scene and that a thank you sentiment would be appropriate for this. Now, it was missing something. I trimmed it down and put it onto a card base, but I still felt like this was just, it needed something. So I die cut that window frame once again from some craft cardstock, and I'm going to adhere it right over the window that I already placed onto my card base using some foam adhesive. And that was the pop that this really needed to bring the eye into that scene and make this card feel right, in my opinion. So I adhered my card front onto my card base using some foam adhesive, and you can see the shimmer there. It's on the white trees, it's on the green trees, it's on the top of the mountains. So much fun. And here is a look at all three of the Winter Wonderland window cards that I created today, all featuring some great sparkle and shine and a mix of some older and newer Essentials by Ellen winter themed products. And I hope I've really inspired you to pull out some of these products that often we think of as Christmas products that we can really use throughout the winter to create these cards with everyday sentiments on them. Birthday, thank you, have a nice day, whatever it may be. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in these projects in the description at YouTube. So if you're looking for something in particular, be sure you check there. Or head on over to the Essentials by Ellen blog post. I will have that linked below. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. As always, thanks so much for stopping by. I am so glad you're here. I hope you enjoyed these projects and this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the ellenhudson.com YouTube channel and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our paper crafting and card making video tutorials that we share here. There are some really talented artists that share here on this channel. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the very end. You know, if you've made it this far, you are one of my favorites. To subscribe to the ellenhudson.com YouTube channel, go ahead and click the button on the left side of the screen. And here's a couple more video tutorials I thought you might enjoy.